I'd like to welcome each of you to Technovation's Alumni Career Development Workshop on how to build and grow your professional network. My name is Kate Foteau, and I'm the Technovation Alumni Program Manager, and I'm so glad to be here with you today. A very special thank you to Vodafone for sponsoring this event. We're so excited to be able to offer this opportunity to you, and we're really grateful for Vodafone's support in making it happen. So I'd like to start off today by finding out who's in this workshop. If you haven't already done so, please tell us in the chat pod, what is your name, where are you joining us from today, and what do you find most challenging about networking, or if you've heard certain reactions from friends or family members or classmates or colleagues about networking. We'd like to hear it. So I see that we have a bit of a lag. I think my internet might be running a little bit slow today. Apologies for that. So I'm going to see that we have some folks in the room here. And lovely, excellent. All right, so if we can go to the next slide, please. And we'll just keep an eye on that chat pod. If you've just joined, please remember to let us know any questions you have in there or comments. If things are too quiet or whatever, feel free to add your feedback in there and we can address them. Next slide, please. So today we'll be discussing how to think about building your network, especially when you're first starting out. And then once you've built up that strong network, how you can use it and maintain it. So let's meet our speakers for today. Wonderful. So we have 3 tech professionals in India. We have Sindoor Iyer, who is a content manager for Shopify, and she has 10 years experience in the area of content management, brand services, and digital marketing. She has a master's in mass communication and journalism from Savitribai Phule Pune University. Aishwarya Hajari is a software developer and cloud engineer for Globant. She's worked with a range of programming languages, including C#, ASP.NET MVC, and Azure Cloud Services, among others. She also holds a degree in computer engineering from Savitribai Phule Pune University. Nabanita Kaur is a technical lead at Globant, and she has delivered software solutions to Fortune 500 companies across India and the United States, and has experience with software development lifecycle management, data science, and digital transformation. Most recently, she completed a postgraduate diploma in data science at the International Institute of Information Technology, Bangalore. Next slide, please. So here's a look at our agenda for today, and we'll be spending some time talking through how to build your network when you're first starting out professionally, and then segue into how to leverage and maintain that network as it grows. So what we're going to do now is, I know that many of you submitted questions that you had around networking when you registered for this workshop. So we're going to take about 10 minutes for our speakers, Nabanita, Aishwarya, and Sindoor, to answer some of them here. And if you think of other questions right now, feel free to type them in our chat pod, and our speakers will address them as they can. And then if they don't have time to answer it right now, it may be answered in the rest of the workshop, or we can send out answers afterwards. All right, next slide, please. So we have some questions here, and I'm just going to put this for anyone who thinks of questions right now. But we're going to first answer the ones that were sent to us via the registration form. So what should I do if my social network or professional network is very small? Aishwarya, would you be able to address that question? What should I do if my network is very small?
Yes, Kate. So thanks for asking this question, first of all. I mean, this is the question which we all come across. So if your network is small, then we have various platforms available like LinkedIn, Telegram channel. Other than that, if you are into the technical background, then some technical sites are also available like Stack Overflow. If you are into the content background, then some Quora.com, etc. So likewise, we will have number of multiple platforms where you will get to see lot of people. So you need to go and connect with them on different platforms.
If I'd just like to add in on that, So essentially, if you have a small network, I would say don't worry about it, at least not initially, because I mean, your network grows over time and you guys are just like, if you're just starting out, it's not a problem at all. Even if you're halfway through your career or something and you think that your network is small, don't worry about it essentially. And like Aishwarya said, there are many places that you can go and grow your network. And other than online, when you're outside also in the real world, a great place to meet and talk to people, because you never know, right? Like, although there are dedicated sites to where you can find people from the same profession, people around you also have a lot of connections that you can kind of leverage. So try and be social when you go out somewhere. Try and broach conversations when you have meetings, when you have group calls. Try and speak up, and that's how you will grow your network. So yeah, this is my input as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. So, what if I feel a bit nervous or I don't want to seem like I'm overeager or that I'm maybe even nagging a contact? How can I appear calm and confident and authentic during the networking process? Now, Benita, would you like to share?
Sure. Thanks for asking this question. To be calm and cool, it is always to take deep breath at least 3 times before you ask your question. And before you ask your question, ask yourself what you want to get out of it. And then you put your question first, and then it will be easy go. So I hope that answer your question.
I love that. So, what if I've had a job and I have to leave that job and I'm trying to maintain my professional network? Is there anything I can do before I leave the job that would help me maintain my network better for when I'm looking for my next role? Sindura, would you mind taking that, please? Or not, Benita?
I don't mind taking that question at all. And honestly, when you're leaving your job, make sure that when you write an email thanking the people that you worked with, and make sure that you include your personal email ID, your LinkedIn profile if you have one, so that, and your phone number, because a lot of the times our numbers are like the official numbers that we have, so people may not necessarily have your personal contact numbers. So make sure you include this when you send out your thank you mail or your goodbye mail when you leave the organization. And also try to connect with people on LinkedIn, share LinkedIn like requests to them before you leave your job. And once you do transition into your new job, make sure that you reach out to people at regular intervals, check up with them, wish them on their birthdays. And there are a few more ways that you can continue to stay connected, that we will be talking about in the presentation.
And I like to add here one more thing. If you are taking break for your career, for your family career balance, like you have to take a break for 1 year or maybe more than that, then make sure that you connect to your friends, alumni, or your past colleagues, and try to help them as much as possible. Try to offer something, try to join some startup company as a part-time job. You can do all of these things to keep your network strong.
In order to add to this, nowadays freelancing environment is
Yes.
growing very well, so one can try and get the opportunity of freelancing as well.
All excellent advice. So it sounds like you're wanting to stay at least one foot in the professional network with that freelance work or in that startup, and then also keeping those relationships connected by making sure that you're thinking of the person at the center of that relationship. Wonderful. And again, for folks who are just joining, feel free to type your questions to the speakers in the chat pod. We'd love to hear from you. So I guess, for our last question, what if I want to get in touch with a higher up person at an organization, like an executive? Is there a good way I can do that as an entry level professional, or what would you recommend? And I'm going to leave this question open for whomever feels comfortable to open it from our speakers.
So I can share from personal experience what has maybe worked for me. So if you want to reach out to somebody in a higher up position and you're directly going to be like, okay, please help me with the job, it's not going to work. And it's going to also create a wrong impression. What you should be doing instead is kind of following this person on social media platforms, engaging with them in other forms, maybe commenting on the posts that they share, giving your perspective on what they're talking about. So essentially, when you do this, mostly all these people do tend to respond to comments. So that's a great way to start a conversation. What this does is the person is aware that you are not just reaching out to ask for a job, because they would be getting thousands of such messages. And another thing that you would be doing by commenting is kind of putting your perspective across, putting your thought process across. So that builds some sort of credibility for you. And when you keep doing this over time, I think that relationship will develop, and you will be able to, for example, when that person shares something that's relevant to you, or you see something that's relevant to you in that's related to their organization, it will give you a little bit more of an advantage when you reach out to them, and not make you seem like somebody who's just looking for a job. So that would be my advice.
And on top of that, I like to add that you can take some common similarities between you and that person. Maybe it could be your same, you are from same place, or you are speaking same language. That sometimes add to the value to your networking. So you can ask a question like, are you a so and so, and are you from this and this place? I'm also this place. And then you can start with your conversation that I like to know about these things, something like that.
Thank you. That was fantastic advice. And yes, that makes a lot of sense to be able to put that context around the request. Awesome. Well, if anyone thinks of a question after this Q&A, feel free to type it in the chat pod. Our speakers will try and answer it as we go through the workshop. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to the next slide, and I'm going to turn things over to Nabanita and Ashwarya, who will be walking us through how to research and identify potential networking leads. So Nabanita, take it away.
Thanks, Kate. So before we go into the details, let's look into what is networking actually. So networking refers to a process by which professionals are establishing the connection between each other. So think yourself as a center of a web, and then the people around you are connecting, and this should be a two-way connection. So that is the networking. Now we will talk about why do we need networking. So we need networking for two purposes mainly. Number one is for upskilling ourselves, to know that what industry experts are doing. And the second one could be to get a job. So let's talk about the first one. Why do we need networking when we are upskilling ourselves? Suppose you don't know anything about data and AI, or something like blockchain is a new technology. You don't know anything about it. So you want to know what is this? What is data and AI? What artificial intelligence are doing? So you can connect to a person who is actually doing that. How you can connect? You can connect through social networking. You can connect to Meetup. Meetup is a very good area where you can personally meet them, meet a group. And then you can ask them question like what they day-to-day, what is their day-to-day activities, and how they spend their life, spend their day in office. What are the pros and cons of their job? That way you can gain the knowledge that what is in means what are the skills is required for that job. So by that way you will know that what are the things you need to catch up, how the industry works. So that is the first point. The second point is to get a professional advantage. How you get a professional advantage? Think about that. Think about your project work. Whom you want to share your project work? That should be your partner. Uh, and that person should be trustworthy. You must trust that person very well. The same way the companies are doing. Companies are having referral bonus. Almost every company has their referral bonus. So company try to get someone who knows that company's employee. So suppose in your network you found that there is one company who wants to get who wants to hire someone. So you reach out that person and you tell that, okay, I have this skill and I want to apply for this job. That person will take your resume and connect to the HR directly. And what you are doing here, you are all those thousands resume that HR is evaluating, you are bypassing all of them. So by that you are kind of ahead of all those people. So these are the two ways. These are the two reason why we have to do our networking. So I hope I answer your question. Uh, Anyone has any question regarding this slide, or I can go to the next? Okay, so the next is strategy. What could be our strategy to do network? So there are three things we can, actually there are four things we can do uh, as a strategy of our networking. First thing is create a brand. So are we business people that we need to create a brand? So brand is like your existence in the social media. How you have your Facebook account, your LinkedIn account, there could be your Pinterest, or um, there are many accounts that you can hold. So you can have your GitHub account. There are many accounts that you can hold in the social media. So those are your brand. Those will tell you that what are the things you are strong at, and what is your strength. So you can create a solid brand. In LinkedIn, you can get some recommendation from your past colleagues or your friends. These are the things that that will help you to create your brand. When you have a very good resume, when you have a very good LinkedIn profile, make sure that your Facebook profile also be checked at whenever you are interviewed by someone. So you, those are the things that represent your brand. The second is take action. So what are the things, what are the actions you can take? Uh, when you are creating your brand, you when you are starting your networking, you try to figure it out. What is your strong area? What are the things you are unique about? How you want to influence the people, how you want a company to remember you, and then you can take action. In your action, you can take a list of the companies. You can research of the list of the companies that okay, these are the companies I want to apply for. And you can also search for the influential people in that area, and try to connect with them through LinkedIn, or try to meet that particular group in the meetup. So those are the part of taking action. Now next point is how to make a connection, how to interact with them. So I think Sindora will talk more about how to interact with them. But in short, try to offer them help. If you if you are new into the industry, and if you want to learn, very good very good way to learn is to help the startup companies. Maybe you will not be paid enough that time, but whatever help you will give them, they will be helped, and you will be benefited by learning your new skill. You will be your network will be strong, your you can get guidance. So and most top of that, you can get a professional experience at your resume. So that is a very good way example of offering help. The other thing could be you can write a blog, whatever you know, or you can reach out to the knowledgeable person, influential person, and try to share with them, try to get their idea about your blog. So those are a few things that you can uh, do to build your network. But remember that never try to get something at your first meetup. So that is there. And next is nurture your relationship. So once you build your relationship, we all know that without nurturing relationship cannot stay longer. So we have to nurture. As Indora told at the beginning of this session, that we need maybe you can say thank you, or can wish them in their birthday, and can ask them how are you, or something very little thing, so that you nurture your relationship. Make sure it should be two-way connection. If you stop nurturing your relationship, your networking, your web start sinking. Any question on that on this slide, or we can go to the next? Before I go to the next slide, I just want to repeat 4 things we can do to strategize our networking: create brand, take action, try to help, and nurture your relationship. Okay, next slide, please. So here we have tried to put all the networking site. Apart from that, there are many other sites also. So maybe I will cover Meetup. Meetup is a very good site, very good organization. You can say whatever your interest area is, you can apply to meetup.com, and you can create your own group, your interest area, your interest people, and then physically meet them. And when you physically meet them, you can ask them questions like what they do day to day, what are the pros and cons of their work, and how they are satisfied, what is their next plan, so that you will get an idea that how industry work. And Coffee Mug is a very good platform where you can get to see many people, get to interact with them. Coffee Mug is new, I think, and people can interact with them online. But I think it is for a little bit experienced people. And there is one more thing that is not mentioned here, and I want to mention. Try to get in touch with your alumni, with your college alumni. See, IITians are always IITians because they have very good alumni. So wherever they go, they have a very good source of network, so that they can apply their very good organization, very good job. So try to your in your college alumni, whoever are your seniors, try to get in touch with them, so that you will get knowledge as well as professional benefit from them. Aishwarya, if you want to take from here.
Yes, thank you so much, Nabanita. The information was very useful. Um, as Nabanita said that IITians are very useful to us. So one of the sites that I could have found is NPTEL. So if you go to the site, you can see that all the IIT professors are teaching here. It is not only mostly it is related to the technical stuff, but you can go through their site and can browse the courses which they are whitelisting. They whitelist their courses before 1 or 2 months. So according to your schedule, you can pick your date and timing, etc. So this is one of the ways. The second is the naukri.com. So maybe my information is in the next slide. Yes. So many times it happens that we apply to a job and we did not get a chance to hear from the recruiter. So what to do at that time is, if you see the first image, it's showing all the information related to the job opportunity or the job posting, and in the second image you can see that the recruiter name who has posted this job. So many times it might possible that below the job posting itself, you get to see the recruiter's email address, its contact number, etc. Right now it is not there because that recruiter may not want to add that information. So what you can do at this time is, you go ahead on the LinkedIn site and search for this person, connect with them on the LinkedIn, and maybe Sindhura will connect in the few slides that how to start your effective communication, or how to start your first effective communication. So from there you will reach out to them, and you will make them remember that you have applied to this job, and maybe like you are waiting to hear from them. So this is one of the strategies I could have found. Next slide, please. Okay, so in this slide, research potential and network leads. So we find it very difficult to identify the leads. We know that we need to approach this, like we need to approach this kind of area, but we never know that how to approach it, or we don't know how to approach that. So what we do is, first of all, hashtag this like hashtag this technique works very well. If you go to the LinkedIn and put hashtag quality management, hashtag project management, like any of the keyword, you will get to see all the posts and all the people related to that hashtag. So based upon that, you will get to know the companies which are basically dealing into the quality management, so you can go ahead and follow those companies. Second thing, job roles. Again, if you are into the development, any software development profession, what you can do is hashtag software development, or any specific technology you want to be a part of, like hashtag Azure or hashtag cloud management. If you are fresher and you are looking for a job, you can search it for hashtag fresher, etc. Hashtag freelancing, etc. So likewise, you will get to see the job opportunities and job roles which are trending into the market. The next point is profiles of the current professionals in the desired job role or industry. Use the LinkedIn follow feature. So you need to send the request to them in order to get connected with them. Or you can maybe connect with your current network contacts. It means what? If you are already a working professional, and you want to switch your job to another company, so it as we already have covered this question, that we need to be in touch with them on LinkedIn or any other platform. So and if you are new to the industry, or new to your career, or your career, so what you can do is you can reach out to your teachers, your professors, your friends and family members, etc. So one of the examples, or one of the personal experiences I want to share here is, when I was a college pass out student, I mean I was in the last year of my college, I was looking for a job. So I went ahead and asked my one of the teachers to look for a job, or to help me get a job. So her husband was into the IT industry, so that network helped me to get a like at least to get an interview call. Then further, it's up to you that how you crack the interviews. So this kind of networking is also very helpful. Next slide. Yes. So in here, like I have already told that hashtagging this technique works very well. So when you search any information related with the hashtag, so you will get to see certain people. Now certain recruiters are a few recruiters are there who are basically targeting to a specific profile only. Like for me, I have come across that a few of the recruiters are targeting only for cloud developers. So when I put a hashtag as cloud developer, I get to see all names of the recruiter who are posting the jobs. So I follow them, and based upon that, I get to know that in this company, this kind of job is available. And since you follow them, you get to see their day-to-day post, their day-to-day content which they are posting, etc. On LinkedIn or any other platforms. So what happened with this is, suppose if there is any new technology trending in the market, you can catch that technology using the keywords, because it might when a recruiter posts a job on LinkedIn or Naukri, etc., they put a keywords. So make sure that you take all the keywords and put that in your resume, because these days what companies are doing is they have their own application tracking system. So that machine or robot itself is filtering your resume. So make sure to fetch those keywords, like in terms of technical aspects, or if I speak in terms of my technical language, .NET, Azure Cloud, then C Sharp, ASP.NET, etc. So I'll fetch these keywords from the job posting and I'll put it into the resume, so that application tracking system will match those keywords and will pass my resume ahead. So the next thing is how to like expanding the networks. So the LinkedIn groups are there, the Telegram channels are there, Facebook groups are there. If you are majorly into the content field, then Quora, I believe Quora.com is one of the best sites if you are into the content, or if you want to put your views, if you want to blog something, or if you want to start blogging. Then Stack Overflow is basically for technical people, where we go and put our technical issues. Then people who have expertise in that area, they reply to our questions, and we can get answers from them. So Stack Overflow is one of the best like one of the best sites for us. So you can expand your network, and if you have posted your question on any of the sites, make sure that people are make sure or keep a track who are replying to your messages, or who are replying to your blogging or your questions. So take the name of that person, either follow it on the Stack Overflow or Quora.com, or simply go ahead and follow on the LinkedIn. There I believe LinkedIn is the best feature where you can get a chance to speak with them more, like through messaging and all. So if suppose I have posted one question on the Stack Overflow today and I got the answer tomorrow from some ABC person, so what I'll do is I'll follow that person on Stack Overflow as well. I'll follow that person on LinkedIn as well. So it will help you to grow your network as well. Next slide. So that was from me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Aishwarya and Navanita. So appreciate your giving that guidance. Now we're going to transition to Sindora, who will walk us through how to craft an effective networking message. And again, if you have questions for our speakers, please feel free to put them in the chat pod. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate, and thank you, Navanita and Aishwarya. It was really great. Like, some of your insights are pretty awesome. I'm going to try them myself. Not that I'm looking to switch right now. But I just want to ask everyone quickly, what is the biggest roadblock that you guys face while networking? If you guys can just pop it in the chat, that would be like awesome. But from personal experience, what I can share is that initiating that first conversation, right, it can feel quite awkward and quite weird. And probably in this section, we'll walk you through firstly how to create that first message that will hopefully help you overcome that roadblock. And then also, kind of, once you connect with that person, how to stay connected. So these are the two things that we will be covering in this section. If you can just move on to the next slide. One thing that we need to keep in mind when you're reaching out to anybody is that try not to ask for a job or an internship in your very first message, especially if you have never spoken to this person before, because people put yourself in the other person's shoes, right? Somebody reaching out to you for the first time and they're suddenly like, okay, please give me a job. You may not really react to that well. So think about that. And when you're reaching out to someone, try to create your message in a way that talks more about, how you hope to develop a relationship versus how you're just looking for something transactional. So if you can just move on to the next slide. So here's an example, just to share from personal experience. The job that I have right now with Shopify, I got through my network. And when I say my network, I knew somebody from college and I was following her on LinkedIn, and she happened to post like a posting for this specific profile. And this is an example of the message that I sent to her to kind of, initiate a conversation. Now, just keep in mind the fact that I already have some background in the sense of I already know this person in a certain level, like I have studied with them in college. But this is how I put an example. Like this is almost the exact message that I sent to that person, actually. So there are parts of this message that we will break down and see in the next slide. But essentially, I have introduced, like I have first of all wished that person, I've greeted that person, uh, put some niceties in terms of thanking them. And then I introduce myself, talking about what I currently do. And then I tell the person what I'm reaching out to them about. I also talk about how I can add value. And I also talk about what I'm expecting from that person. So if we move on to the next slide, this kind of brings us to the point where we talk about how do we frame that first message that you send to everybody. Of course, you can't, you can't kind of have a long conversation before we start out with what you want, but there is a way to introduce yourself. And a great way to kind of have something in place so that you can do this more effectively is sort of to create a template for yourself. So some top of the mind things to keep, to have with you when you're creating some like a template for yourself is you need to mention who you are. How do you know this person? It could be something like you have reached out to this person just by seeing their posts on LinkedIn. If so, mention the post that you liked, call out, if you've read their blog somewhere and you're reaching out to them, call that out. If you've been introduced by somebody else, make sure that you mention that person's name, and make sure that you give that context to that person that's saying, oh, XYZ has recommended that I speak to you. Make sure that you mention why are you looking to connect, and be very articulate and precise about it. There's no point in sending a message to someone saying that, oh, I'm this, I want to, oh, I'm just like, just saying, hi, I do this and I'm looking for a job is not like the greatest way to do it. So why are you looking to connect, right? What is it that that person can add to you? What is it that you're looking forward to getting from that person? It may not necessarily be a job right away, right? Because like Aishwarya and Navneeta both mentioned, when you're networking on these platforms, it's not always a job that you're looking for. You're looking to learn from somebody, you're looking for information, you're looking to discuss ideas, and that's what you should be communicating to the person clearly. And ultimately, you talk about what value you can add. I think a few of you had put a question or mentioned, like when you all had initially written in saying that, you all are nervous about what value you can add, or because you all are freshers, you may not know, but there is always something that each one of us brings that nobody else has, which is your perspective. And always remember that when you're writing to somebody, make sure that you communicate what you have in your mind, make sure that you communicate your thought process, make sure that you communicate your worldview. And that's the biggest perspective that you bring to somebody, because how I've experienced the world, nobody else would have. And that's, at least when you're starting your career, that's something that you have. And as you grow along, you will have more and more things that you can talk about as adding value. We can So if you want, we can do an exercise where we can walk you through how to create this template for yourself. If not, we can move on. If we can, let us know in the chat box if you'd like us to walk you through creating a template for yourself. We'll do that right away. If not, we can move on to the next slide. You can type a no also if this is not like, if you were not expecting homework on this in this call. If I don't like see anything, if you don't see anything in the next 10 seconds, probably we can move on. Any questions, guys? Like, are you all enjoying what you're hearing so far? I think we can move on, no worries. So I'd just like to share some examples that I found really interesting. And I can tell you, I think Navneeta already kind of mentioned this before. So this is a message that I got from somebody that I had never spoken to before. So Brooklyn Nash, for example, is an influencer sort of that I follow in terms of content. So what this person has done is he has gone and seen the kind of people or the common people that we follow, This you can do this very easily. Oh, okay. Sorry. So you guys want to go through the template then? I think, okay, so then maybe we can go on to the 49th slide. Sorry, the one with the more details here. So we can do this as a working exercise, yeah. So let's start with, if you can just click on the more details here button. So this is how we can try and build a template for ourselves. Okay, so let's pretend that you don't know me. Okay, and Aishwarya is your colleague and she has introduced you to me, or she has told you that, okay, Sindhura can help you with whatever requirement you have, and your requirement currently is that you're looking for a job at Shopify. Okay, let's assume this as the context, and let's build a template. Let's all of us work on building a template for this context, right? So we start. I hope that you guys have access to some sort of notepad or something. But is there somebody who would like to volunteer to share what they create at the end of this? If not, we'll just walk through this and you guys can put in if you create something. If not, we can just move on. So for example, yeah, let's say that Aishwarya has introduced you to me. You're applying for you want to apply to a job, for a job at Shopify. And let's start with the first step. So what is your name? Who are you? And what role are you in right now? Are you studying? Are you working? What do you aspire to be? You mentioned that this role is, I mean, since it's Shopify, it can be anything related to tech. So that's totally up to you guys. Once you have this in place, right, it can just be like 2 sentences saying, hi, my name is XYZ, and I'm currently a student, or I'm looking to study XYZ. So this can be your first sentence. If we can move on to the next slide. Oh no, I think we can move on to the next one. Yeah, so how do you know me? So in this case, it would be that you know me through Aishwarya. So you would need to mention that I know you through Aishwarya, who works at Globant. I was discussing, for example, the template could just say, hi, I'm Navanita. I'm going to take Navnita's example here and say, hi, I'm Navnita. And I was speaking with Aishwarya the other day, and she mentioned that you could help me regarding this role that I'm looking to change into. And both of us work at Globant, and we worked on XYZ project together. So this is how your step 2 can look like. If, for example, you did not know me through Aishwarya and you just found me online, we just saw an example where somebody reached out to me with no prior knowledge. What you can do is, like Navneeta already mentioned, you can look for common things that you have. You can look for common people that you follow. And this is really easily visible to you. You can just go, for example, if you're reaching out to me, you can go to my profile and you see my activity. So you see the comments that I've left on people's posts. You know who I'm engaging with. You know what interests me. And maybe you can pick that as a reference and you can connect with me. So this is going to be the second part of your template, where you're talking about how do you know this person, because it's very strange to get a connection request from somebody and you have no context as to why this or how this person has found you. So this is the second step. We can move on to the third step. Why are you looking to connect? In the example that we are looking at, you are looking to connect with me for a job. So you make sure you mention that I am looking to connect with you with respect to this job. It's great if you can give a reference link to that person, because that person may have posted multiple jobs and may not necessarily know which one you're talking about. If you're looking to learn from this person, you can just say that, oh, I would love to chat with you about, NFTs or whatever it is that you want to get more information on. It could also be that, maybe somebody that you know or in your connections is looking for a specific skill set, is looking to hire somebody. If so, mention that. Tell them that, you seem like a good fit for this role, or are you looking for an opportunity in this space? If so, I can connect you to XYZ person. And of course, it could also be that you're just looking to connect to understand, like suppose you're getting into the field of development you want to just understand what are the realities, what are the ground realities, what are the things you want to be aware of. So that is also something that you can mention. If we can move on to the next one. So this is the most, I would say, important part of the message that you send to the person. Most of the times we feel like people don't need to know this, and we don't need to call out a call to action, and we can just say, oh, I saw this job and it looks great, and the person does not know what to expect from, what you expect from that person. It could be something like whether you're looking for them to recommend you, whether you're looking for specific information. Make sure that you call this out, that I'm looking for XYZ help from you, or I'm looking for XYZ support from you. This is how you can frame your first set of communications. And something that I feel you should remember is that it's not necessary to only connect with somebody, like we mentioned at the beginning of this exercise, right? You need not only connect with somebody only when you're looking to kind of get a job. Okay, there are multiple other reasons. A company, for example, could be your aspirational company. It could be a company that you hope to work on in the future, and it's good to stay connected to people before even a job opportunity comes up, so that you're there in their top of the mind when a role actually turns up, rather than just applying when you see a role, or rather than reaching out when you see a role. So a great way, even if you don't have a specific ask, can just be that I would love to listen to your perspective on XYZ things. And people love to talk about the things that they know, about the things that they work on day to day. So just by listening actively, and by giving people the opportunity or the platform to express themselves, that also can help you build a connection with that person that can go a long way for you. um, so I hope that this sort of walkthrough of how you can create a template makes it easier for you to send that first message and get over the blockages. And now, if any of you would like to share the template that you've created basis the example that we had, discussed in the beginning of this, please feel free to put it in the chat. If not, we can move back to the to where we were in terms of seeing some examples. You'll need to click on the object, or if not, we can move back to, yeah, that's great. So we can move on to the next slide. So I'm just picking up a few of the first messages that I received from people that I really, really found unique or interesting. And this is one of them. Apart from reaching out to somebody and saying that, sometimes it may happen that you don't have anything in common, right? You may not be from the same location, you may not even be from the same industry, yet you would want to connect with that person because you feel like they can add a lot of context or add a lot of insights. In such a case, it's great to see if you have common, what has that person, who is that person following, what kind of topics is that person following, do you follow any common pages? If so, then make sure that you call it out. And yeah, I mean, or it could just be that you are from the same background. And this is why I love this message, where this person has taken the effort to go through my feed to see the kind of posts that I'm engaging with, and writing to me about that. So the takeaway from this would be that if you find common interests, you can forge your connections. We can move on to the next example. So like I said, right, a job is not the only reason why you should be looking to connect to somebody, because that can come across as pretty transactional. Of course, you can connect with somebody if there is a specific requirement that they've posted and you are interested in it. But your reasons for networking should be more than that. Your reasons for networking should be to grow your context of your industry. It should be about improving your learning. It should be about being around people you can discuss your ideas with. And learning is a great way to do that, and it can be a reason enough to connect. Now this example is great because this person is talking to me from a perspective of saying that you are in the marketing field, and I feel like we can learn together. And that's for me, if I get a message like this, I'm sure to kind of entertain it, versus a message where somebody's just reaching out saying, can I get a job? We can move on to the next one. Now, this is something that, sorry, What do you do if you don't get feedback from the person that you are trying to network with? Okay, this is a great question. I will pick this up, I think, maybe when we go to the don'ts part of it. Unfortunately, if you don't get feedback from the person, maybe you can follow up a couple of times, but if you don't get feedback, you don't get feedback. I would suggest that don't pester the person. I would suggest don't spam the person, because it can be, there may be a reason why that person's not, responding to you. Maybe that person has not seen your message at all, because a lot of the times what ends up happening is that when you write into somebody and you're not connected with them, right, on any platforms, it goes into a different inbox. And the simple reason why they may not be replying to you is because your messages are not in their main box and they haven't viewed it yet. So one thing that you can do before you send multiple messages to a person, right, is you can reach out to them in the comment section of their post, because that would be, publicly visible, and that's something that they would be noticing and they would probably get notifications about. So that's something that you can try. But if you kind of reach out to them on the chat comments as well, and they don't respond and you're not connected to that person, I would suggest that you figure out a different way and a different person that you can connect with to achieve the objective that you want. This is the last example that I really, really liked. And this is something that I've come across quite recently. I connected with somebody, and this person, the second message that, as soon as they accepted my request, they sent me this message saying that, thank you so much for sending me a connection request. And here's here's the link to my calendar. And I'd love it. I'm making an effort to reach out to everybody in my whoever I'm connecting with, and I would love to have a chat. So the takeaway for me from this was the fact that if you want to build connections that are more than transactional and that are going to help you in the long run, you need to be willing to invest some time. So anytime you kind of reach out to somebody, ensure that you have a chat with them about something more. Ask them about how they're doing, ask them about how their family is doing, ask them about their work. This is a great way to stay connected with somebody. I'm sure you can take 15 minutes of time in your day to kind of have a conversation with somebody. So maybe create a Calendly account and share your calendar and say that, and this can be also not necessarily when you receive a connection. When you send a connection, you can follow the same sort of strategy where you say that, I would love to reach out to you and I would love to have a chat, and here's my calendar and I would love it. Please feel free to book some time and we can have a, conversation about whatever it is that, you want to chat about. So these are some examples. Hey, thank you for sharing this, Celsia. I'm going to work on that after I'm done with this section. So can we just move on to the next slide? So yeah, the end takeaway that I would say when you're networking, right, and when you're trying to build relationships, is that you need to think about how it's mutually beneficial. You need to find a way to help people, and that's the way that they are going to help you. A one-way transactional sort of approach can only take you so long. And the best way to build your network and to continue to grow it is to offer some value from your side as well. And we're going to see how to do that in various ways. If we can move on to the next slide. I think that if I have to break down how to maintain and grow your network, right, it boils down to three things. One is staying in touch with people. The second thing is building your own personal brand. And the third thing is being helpful and adding value. And let's just walk through how you can do some of this. So I think somebody mentioned initially, we can move on to the next slide. Somebody mentioned initially, how do you stay in touch, right? I think this was with respect to when you move on from a job, but this can be applicable to anything. You don't, to stay in, you need reasons to kind of reach out to somebody, right? And these are some reasons that maybe can help you. Of course, there are more reasons. These are not the only ones. So one can be congratulating your contacts on significant dates. For example, wishing them on birthdays, wishing them when they get promotions or new jobs. Keep an eye on that. Make sure that you reach out to them and connect with them during these moments in their life. Check in with your contacts, even if they haven't posted something in a while. reach out to them saying, oh, why haven't you posted something in a while? It's been a while since I read something from you, or just simply, how are you doing? And also sharing an update from your side, saying that, oh, I came across this and I thought maybe I could reach out to you and get your opinion on it. That's a great way to start a conversation and to stay connected. And also, when you start working and when you start doing things, right, a great way to stay connected would be to let them know that these are the projects I'm working on, or these are the things that I've been working on, and I'd love to pick your brain on what I could have done better or what I can do better. And that's a great way to kind of stay in touch with people, and these give you reasons to do that. We can move on to the next slide. um, So personal branding is something that I got to know about quite late I mean, I didn't think that it was necessary for me as a person to have a brand, but it's quite important that you do, because how you see yourself is not necessarily how other people see you. And honestly, how you see yourself may not be the way that you want other people to see you. But the thing is, you cannot take away who you are from what you kind of show. So it's very important for you to be authentic, and that's where your personal brand comes in, where you find that sweet spot between how you see yourself and how the world sees you. And this is the most basic way in which I can think about how you can think about your personal brand, right? So for example, when you think of Apple, what do you think of, right? You think of innovation, you think of simplicity. And how have these connections happened? It's because Apple has branded themselves in a certain way. And when you think about yourself, and when people think about you, they should also be thinking about certain attributes. Like, I know for sure that I have been told by many people that when it comes to me, certain things that they think about, or certain things that come to their mind when they think about me, is the fact that I'm quite chatty. I talk a lot. So that's something that I've built and developed over time. They have also mentioned that they find me helpful. That's again something that I have built and developed over time. So how do you do this for yourself, right? If you can just move on to the next slide. So here are some tips in which you can build your brand. This is not something that's going to happen overnight, and this is something that you're going to work on, and this is something that's going to keep evolving, right? But these are a few questions that you want to ask yourself, and these are a few things that will help you move in the right direction of how you build your brand. And how this is going to help you maintain your network, I will explain to you once we go through these points. So for example, I would start personally from the second point, which is, what are your values and how do you want to get them across, right? Each of us have things that are important to us that go over and above our professional, and they could also include things that are professionally relevant to you, right? But there are values that we stand for. There are things that matter to us, like it could be integrity, it could be honesty, it could be speed. There are many things, and this is something that is unique, and this is something that is going to make you stand out. So you need to think about, what are the values that are important to you, and how do you want to get those points across, and what is the opinion that you want to have about those points, what is the perspective that you want to share about those points. Once you have that in place, right, all these other questions become very, very easy to answer. For example, who your current audience, Aishwarya, I think she gave a lot of points on how you find people who are going to be relevant to you, right? What keywords they use, which industries they're in, which companies they work for. Think about that. And also think about how, and what are the kind of audiences that you would like to attract. When you think about this, it will help you develop your brand in a way, because when you see about the things that they kind of respond to, right, your target audiences will have specific kind of posts, specific kind of topics that they respond to. So you will know that these are the kind of posts and topics that you need to start talking about, or that you need to have an opinion on. Which brings us to, how will you think about content, right? A great way to kind of build your brand, because having a brand and not having it communicated anywhere, it's kind of pointless. So a great way to kind of manifest your brand is through the type of content that you will be posting, right? Whether it's written content, whether it's visual content, it depends from person to person. some people are more comfortable writing long posts. Some people just want to write one headline and have an image accompanying it. So you need to think about what works best for you, because this totally depends on your skill sets and what you're most comfortable in, kind of, and how, again, like how you want to be perceived, right? So somebody like me who has a lot to say, I'm probably going to have like really long captions for my content, versus somebody who's really crisp and who's, who doesn't like to speak so much, probably will have like a 2-line content kind of summarizing the same. So that's what you have to think about and kind of have to develop yourself. And I can walk you through the other points, but these are essentially just things that you need to think about how you want people to perceive you. Like, for example, what is the tone of voice that you would like to use, right? Again, this is a very sort of personal choice. And I would like to be funny about how I talk, and I would like to bring a lot of humor into my content. That may not necessarily be the same case for you. So how you think about yourself is and how you want people to think about you, that's really important, because otherwise, and when you do this and when you create a brand for yourself, people will reach out to you versus you having to reach out to them. So that's about your personal brand. And the third thing that you can do, we can move on to the next slide. So how do you be helpful and add value, right? You can connect people with each other because you must already have a network. Even if you don't, you will be building it over time. So there will be definitely people that, you can connect to. When somebody, for example, if you are a developer and you have friends who are in the same industry, and there is, you may not be looking for a change, but you can connect a recruiter to somebody who is looking for a change. So that's something that you can do. You can curate and share useful resources. This is something that I have found very useful. I follow, like, personally, I follow people who share a lot of information about my industry, and who share the kind of information that I haven't come across, and I am able to derive some insight out of. So that's another way that you can be useful. You can be that person who's sharing this content, and people will be following you because you're doing that job for them. They don't have to go looking for that information. They know that if they follow you or they connect with you, they will get access to that information when you share it. So that's a way that you can be helpful or add value. Another thing, like I said, right, like, how can you add value is by sharing your perspective. Don't be afraid to talk about how you think about things. Don't be afraid to put your points across. Of course, you're going to have people who disagree with you. Of course, you're going to have people who maybe troll you. But the thing is that it's important for you to express yourself and share that perspective, because that's the biggest value that you can add to this world. And this has been true for me across my experiences. And the last point, I cannot stress this enough, is active listening. Whenever somebody speaks to you, or whenever you're having a conversation with somebody, right, make sure that you pick up on the small things that they talk about. If they mention, their family, or they mention things that are important to them, remember to call it out later. And ask questions. A great way to engage somebody and to be helpful and to add value would be asking people questions, because people generally like talking about themselves. When you ask them questions, it makes them feel like you're more interested in them, and that will help you forge better connections. We can move on to the next slide. So what should you avoid doing while networking, right? It's very simple. If we can just move on. Don't spam. Don't be inappropriate. Don't be transactional, and don't be inconsiderate. So what do we mean by this? I think this may solve one of your questions about how do you know when you are kind of, how do you get somebody to respond to you when they don't give you feedback? Well, don't spam them, that's for sure. Don't send them repetitive messages, and definitely don't send them, follow-ups in the form of question marks, because I get this a lot, and it's not the best way. You have to remember to be appropriate when you send messages. You cannot send messages to people saying, hey, how dare you not reply to me, what's going on? Or abusive language is a total no-no. Please don't be over friendly or over familiar with somebody. Don't use their pet names if you don't know them. That's these are some things that you can avoid when I say that don't be inappropriate. Another thing not to do is don't be transactional. Don't Like I said, when you're networking with somebody, right, don't look at it from a perspective of what do I get from this person, and don't make it so obvious that you're looking to connect with this person just to get something or to just achieve an objective, because it's not the best feeling, and those kind of relationships will not last. I think this is true not just professionally but personally as well. And don't be inconsiderate. So by this, what I mean is that, when you reach out to somebody, don't be like, oh, tomorrow please give me feedback on this by tomorrow. Or if there is a job application and the end date is tomorrow, don't reach out to the person one night before saying that, oh, please, I've sent you this, please review it. Because you have to be considerate of the person's time. You have to be considerate and let that person know that, give people enough time to respond, and make sure that you accommodate for their needs, rather than only putting yourself first. Which brings us, I think, to the end of our session today. So I think all of us have been saying this in one way or the other. Your network will only keep growing, and you need to nurture it in order for it to grow. And so it's not going to be something that happens overnight, and you need to give it a lot of time and a lot of space for it to grow the way that you want to. So I think with that, I'm done with my section.
Thanks so much, Sindura. So we have two questions coming in. One from Mugda, and she's saying that she recently received a message from a recruiter. Sindura, would you like to take that one? And then we have another question after that.
Okay, this is a great question, actually. And I think you've already given the, you don't have a recommendation already, because I think that's a great way to kind of address something like this, telling that person that maybe, this is not something that I'm looking out for right now, because I'm really happy in the role that I'm doing. And if you have somebody to recommend, I think that itself solves your problem, because I would say that just saying to a recruiter that you're not interested in a role right now does not stop your future chances, as long as you're considerate about replying in time. You don't keep that person waiting for your response. You can definitely say no in a polite way, and they will appreciate you more for it, because, and they will definitely consider you for future situations, because you're also showing loyalty in a way. So please feel free to say no. Feel free to include your reasons of why you're saying no, saying that I'm happy at my current job, or this is not exactly the role I'm looking for. And if you do know somebody, please do recommend, because that's something that that person is going to find very valuable.
And would it be helpful as well, Sindura, to what you're saying, that if to keep that relationship going, that maybe that they keep your resume on file or whatever, your contact information available for when you do eventually?
Yeah, for sure. So when you write to them, do mention that, if there is something that opens up in the future, I would love to hear about it, although I'm not in the position to accept, or I'm not looking to move right now.
Awesome. And then we have another question that was sent privately, saying, how do we find our appropriate network for my specific area of studies? Any tips? And so Aishwarya, I think you had written something about this earlier. Would you mind taking that question? How to find the network that's best matched to my field of studies or industry?
Yes, so hashtag technique works here. If you have your specific area of study, like any quality management, any project management, cloud engineering, etc., you can go ahead and type on the LinkedIn that hashtag the keyword of your area of study. Then you will get to see the people and the companies who are into that area. So you can go and approach them.
To add on that, if you can also do Facebook group. You can also join Facebook group. In the Facebook, if you type your particular area of interest, you will find the groups and you can join them. And you may find Telegram channel of them in the groups as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Navanita, and thanks, Aishwarya. I'm going to ask Deb, if you can click to the next slide, please. We're going to put up a poll. Feel free to keep typing your questions. We'll stay on for a few minutes. But right now, I'm going to put a poll on your screen. If you could go ahead and let us know if you found today's workshop content helpful, if you found the speakers helpful. This will help us plan appropriate events for the future. We so appreciate your feedback, folks. And yes, thank you, Amy, for putting that in chat pod. I'm going to cover that in just a moment. We'd love for you to join our LinkedIn group as well. But if you see a poll put on your screen, just go ahead and click on it so we can get your feedback. And I'll give you another 10 seconds. If you can vote, that would be so helpful for us. Thank you so much. All right, so, and wonderful. All right, I'm gonna close this poll. Any last takers?
I have shared
Okay,
my
great.
LinkedIn connection. If anyone wants to connect with me, they can. If they have any question, they can ask me.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Nabanita. And then I'm going to, next slide, please. So, you know, as Amy shared the link just a moment ago, we're going to share it again and just say, we'd love it if you could join our LinkedIn group. You must be 16 years of age or older to join. What we encourage in joining the LinkedIn group is because we find it really helpful to help you connect with other fellow Technovation alumni who are also in the same position, whether they're in university or starting their careers. And you can use this linked document here if you want to learn how to create a personalized pitch. We strongly encourage you to send a personalized message to a Technovation alumni and share it with them in your message, you know, where you're at in your career or job search, one resource that you find helpful professionally, and maybe one ask, maybe something you'd like to learn about more or a connection you're hoping to make. And you can practice some of the tips suggested today by our speakers. And then I'm going to go ahead to next slide, sorry. And if you're on social media, we'd love it if you could share with your friends the best piece of advice you learned today, hashtag Technovation Alumni or hashtag Technovation Career Workshop. I'll drop those tags into our chat pod. And if you'd like to share your alumni story with Technovation, if you're wanting to get more connected with us again, you're welcome to use this application here. And if you're interested in watching this presentation again, we'll be sharing it on our alumni community resource page next week. I'm putting the link in for that page. That's where you can also find opportunities for being a Technovation alumna. And if you have any questions about this topic, you know, if you think of something after this webinar, you're welcome to email us at our support. And we just want to remind you that you'll get the most if you give the most, as each of our speakers shared today. Networking is first and foremost about the relationships that you build, not just what you get from them. So please challenge yourself to make connections with others, and especially your fellow Technovation alumni. It's a rich community of opportunities and information out there. And so when you need help, we really encourage you to ask for it. So we have about 2 minutes left. We so appreciate you attending today's workshop, but we'd like to encourage you, if you'd like to ask any last minute questions of our speakers, now's your chance. So feel free to type them in the chat pod. And we also want to say today, thank you to each of our speakers, Nabanita, Ashwarya, Sindura. We really appreciate everything that you've shared with us today, from your personal experiences and professional experiences. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Kate.
So I think I would just like to circle back to one of the questions somebody had asked initially about how to appear calm, right? Like, and not over eager. This is something that I always have a problem with, because I'm constantly appearing like, because I like to talk so much, I'm constantly appearing like, in my head, it seems to me like I am seeming over eager, but don't put pressure on yourself. I think that would be my first piece of advice. And this is something that I have gotten to hear from people, because I ask them, do I come across as, you know, as pushy? Am I coming across? Am I irritating you? Am I nagging you? This is something that I've asked people on multiple occasions. And trust me, even if you think you're being irritating or you're being nagging, most of the times this is not the case. People appreciate when you reach out to them, like in a considerate way, when in a polite way, and you ask them questions, they are more than happy to answer. Most people are. And if not, what you can do is you can think about, when somebody reaches out to you, right? What are the behaviors that you connect with, with as being overeager, right? What are the, like, is it because somebody keeps writing to you multiple times? Is it because, you know, somebody pings you on multiple different social networks? So what is it that you find annoying when somebody does to you, and try not doing that to the other person? And that should sort you out, but never second guess yourself, I think, and never think about yourself as being nagging, especially when you're seeking insights from somebody. Everybody appreciates it. So as long as you're respectful and as long as you're polite and you're not being arrogant, I think that you should be fine.
Words of wisdom, Sindura. Yeah, people like to feel helpful and they want to help you. Thank you so much. And on that note, I think we'll close out today's workshop. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much to our speakers. We hope you have a great rest of your evening. If you enjoyed this workshop, please drop us a line and let us know. Have a great day all. Bye-bye.